Hey everybody, this is singer Billy Gilman, and welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
When the world is a maddening place, and you can't seem to find your space, subscribe to the Sarah O'Connell Show, and you'll see her beautiful face. And mine.
Billy Gilman, welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. We were supposed to have a snowstorm, but it only amounted to rain, so that's nice.
That's pretty good. Rain is basically an English summer, so enjoy that.
Right. I've visited England many times, and only one time it was sunny, so I understand that.
I've lived here my entire life, and it's only been sunny one time too. I can relate to that.
That's good.
So usually I start by asking people what they aspire to be when they were growing up, but you, by the age of 7, were already singing publicly. At that age, did you know that that's what you wanted to do your entire life?
Yeah, the entire thing. At 18 months old, they have me on film humming the Jeopardy theme. Yeah, it just, some people, like I always say, some people go to college and try to figure out what their passions are. Mine was totally chosen from whatever higher power you believe in. I firmly believe that, and luckily I've been able to keep going with it. So very fortunate.
You have indeed. And was it Ray Benson who first discovered you? And how did you first get signed to Epic Records in the year 2000?
Yeah, so I was singing all around church, school. Probably people didn't even want to hear it, but I'm like, you're going to hear it anyway. And so at 8 years old, my grandmother went behind my parents' back and said, listen, there was an article in the local newspaper, because my parents knew that I wanted to sing, but really kept instilling, go back, just keep going to school. You're young, you're little. I mean, it's not even young. It's totally like wacky. Go to school, don't please, but my grandmother was a very business-oriented mindset person, and she saw that it was just different. The other grandkids weren't doing what I was doing. So there was, coincidentally, there was an article in our local newspaper about a voice coach who had a long career herself, touring with Bill Cosby and Rodney Dangerfield and on her own, and in Vegas, had a big career, and settled down in her hometown, coincidentally 10 minutes away from my family. And she had a major surgery. Come to find out, she was taking on voice students, and they did this huge article. So my grandmother calls her up and says, I have a grandson that can sing. Years later, because this woman has been with me now for 24 years, going on 25 years still to this day, I find later out she's thinking to herself, yeah, every grandmother thinks their grandson can sing. But my grandmother's, you have to meet him, won her over, and I met with Angela, and she basically cleared out every other vocal student and took me on just one-on-one and taught me the ropes for about a good year and a half, learning how to sing, not only just textbook about breathing and things, but like life lessons about if you have a cold, what you got to do to get through a show, like stuff you learn when you're on the road. And when she felt I was confident enough, she introduced me to a few agents who started to book me locally, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. And I was doing a local private party, and a gentleman that was also a musician that was there, was performing at another hour, said, I have a lot of connections, and if you want, I would love to have a demo tape of Billy. I have some friends I'd send it off to. And it coincidentally was Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel. A few weeks after the demo tape, they invited me down to Austin, Texas, and I recorded my very first demo, like with a full band and all of that at 9. And then about a year and a half after that, he invited me to Nashville to do, at that point, I didn't know what a showcase was because I was so young. He invited me down, and I sang 2 songs, and in 3 months I was signed to Sony, to Epic. So it was work. It wasn't like some phenomenon thing. They saw me on TV and it was over. Yeah. I worked hard. Even then, it was the weekends and then homework, and it was a grind even at such a young age. I know that's so hard for some people to grasp, but
yeah, because you see people on TV, or you see their album in the store, but you don't see all the work that goes into that and all the steps they have to take and auditions and working on things, reworking on them, and Yeah, so that's one reason I love my show, actually, because I get to sort of shine a spotlight on the amazing work that does go into everything.
Sure, sure. And I loved watching your show. Of course, I did a little, investigating, and it's such a great show. I enjoyed watching Keanu Reeves and R.I.P. the Bob Saget interview, and yeah, you do a great job.
Thank you so much, and I'm honored to have you here. And so your very first single, One Voice, was Grammy nominated. It got into the Billboard Top 40 country charts, the Billboard Top 100 as well. How did you feel? You must have been super nervous, your first single coming out, and then you had this huge response to it already.
I hated the song.
Did you?
I did not like it. I didn't understand it. I thought it was boring. But again, Angela was with me. She was the one that traveled with me, being so young. I have a younger brother, and I did not want my parents leaving him for me. And he didn't choose this whole tornado that's happening. And so if it wasn't for Ange to literally just come on the road with me as my road mom, none of this would have happened. So she was with me at every recording session for vocals alone, being my voice coach first and foremost. And she's like, listen, Billy, I know you don't like the song, but they got a plan. We have to let these bigger people than us do what they think is right. So I said, okay, I'll learn the song. I was so happy to be wrong. and I'll never forget, I was doing, when you release a record, there's, like this, there's press junkets, there's all kinds of stuff that you do that follows a release of a record or a single.
Yeah.
And I was at a Walmart parking lot doing a pop-up concert for people as a radio promotion. And my agency flew in and said, congratulations, and handed me the #1 glass. It was #1. The One Voice had gone to #1, and it actually stayed there for 7 weeks. And I never thought in a million years that would happen. But looking back at a 30-something-year-old person, I totally get why it did what it did. The words are so timeless, and they even mean so much now with the world that we're dealing with. And I'm grateful that I have a song in my catalog that literally is not a shelved song. I can sing this song till I'm hopefully 70, 80 years old, because the world will always have its problems, and it just makes sense. So I didn't expect to do what it did, but I'm certainly grateful that, it did it.
So I'm guessing you've got a completely different relationship with that song nowadays. You recently did a collaboration with Home Free as well, which I love that version of the song. How did that come about, by the way?
So funny enough, of course, COVID, we've all been hit with that in the craziness of it. And it just so happened that during that time, it was the 20th anniversary of the song. And I knew I wanted to do something, but what am I allowed to do? Can I go with musicians? Can we be together? COVID, singing with a mask on. It's like, forget it. And I was trying to come up with a way, and I did not want to just go into a studio and record it with musicians just like it was. To me, it's comparable. Oh, I liked it better when he was young, or whatever the thought may be. That could happen, right? And I was on the show The Voice, and I learned a valuable lesson on that show about me. Is I luckily have this way of wrapping a song around that might be someone else's and creating it to be, and making you forget that it was that original artist. And I'm so honored that I have that knack in my brain. And so when I came to do it about myself, to do an anniversary about the song, I'm like, I just don't want to record it and have it be comparable. I've got to come up with a way to make it different. And oddly enough, I just took it up to the sky and I said, I'm going to manifest this because I don't know where to go with it. And Home Free, my publicist said, so the vocal group Home Free, do you know them? I'm like, of course, they were on the Sing Off. They're fantastic. They said they want to do a version of One Voice with you. And I went, did they realize it's the 20th anniversary of the song? And they're like, nope, they just came to us and want to do the song with the way the world is going, the mental health situations. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm like, that's crazy. Totally off the chart, right? I had no idea. And it turned into something beautiful. It's totally a cappella with beautiful harmonies. So it gives it a whole new life, and you can't compare it to the original. It was kismet, it really was.
Yeah, it's magical. And the new version, I love it as much as the original. And as you say, it's like you breathe 90 new life into it, but it feels fresh and modern.
Thank you.
So that album, your first album, went double platinum. Soon afterwards, though, you released a classic Christmas album, literally a few months afterwards. And so you sang Sleigh Ride with Charlotte Church. On the same day your Christmas album was released, Charlotte Church released her own Christmas album, which also included a song with you, Dream a Dream. Can you tell me, did you record those two songs together at the same time for both of your albums?
Yep, I flew to London. I can't remember the studio, but it was whatever studio Sony booked. Met with Paul Berger, who was the London rep for the London president of Sony, and he's like, welcome, and you're going to go into the studio with Charlotte, and it's going to be great. We think it's beautiful. And then he played me Dream a Dream, and I lost it. As I was getting older, started to really fall in love with symphonic recordings, and like I was always so used to drums, steel guitar, fiddle, country music, right? That's what I grew up on. That's my bones. But as you start to, see the world and become an adult and, older, you get to like different kinds of music. That's like loving a different type of clothing or a different type of food, just happens to a musician. You like different styles. And he played me the song. He goes, you're going in and performing with the London Symphony tomorrow. I didn't sleep. And this was her normal. This was what she recorded with, right? It was just what she did. And it's a memory that will never hopefully go away, to stand there and hear her sing at that microphone with that symphony. It was remarkable. And she was such fun. And her voice teacher was such a hoot. And we did the song quite a bit. We did it in Washington for the President of the United States. We did it for, we did the Top of the Pops. We did, oh my gosh, Jay Leno. We did a lot together. She was just such a breath of fresh air. And the one memory I have, and I never will forget this. We're doing the tree lighting at the White House for Christmas time. And I'm like such a neurotic person, even at 10 years old, about my voice and teas and sprays and warm-ups and very like, just drink water and chicken soup. She sits down right before she goes out to hit this big note song, opera. She's eating Oreo cookies. She had, I think, like a sandwich. And I'm going, all right. Like, she was just such a, if I'm going to go out there and I'm going to sing, it's going to be what it's going to be. She was remarkable. She really was. That was a great time.
That is really incredible. And so soon after that, so you released your debut album, you released a Christmas album, and then you followed soon after that with Dare to Dream. How much pressure was it to release 3 albums in, I think it was less than a year?
Yeah, it was less than a year. It was less than a year. You're right. To me, the recording process is so much fun, and they realized that it wasn't taxing on me because of how much I loved it. Like, I wasn't the typical like child star that would get, they don't know what they're really doing. This was all my direction. Let's keep going. And so it was easy. Like, there was never a moment, and I'd be tired, doing shows, TV, and then going back into the studio, but whose job is it tiring? So I loved it. There was nothing, I can say negatively about it. And they just picked such great songs time and time again. Every now and then I'll go back to listen if I don't listen voluntarily, but I'll listen if I want to add an older song to my new shows, bring stuff out of the archives or the vaults.
Yeah.
And I marvel over some of the songs that they gave me. They're just so timeless. And if I see these songwriters in Nashville, I make my time between my home state of Rhode Island and I live in songwrite in Nashville and record. And if I run into them, I try to make it a point to thank them, because I don't think they really realize what they did. I think it was just, they picked the best song at the moment, and a lot of them ended up being such timeless material. It helps as a singer as you want to go on and on. You're not singing, I want candy. That's kind of creepy at 50.
I was just thinking, I kind of do want some candy.
Well, me too. It's the candy that only you guys have. Well, not, I'm sure I can find it here. I know I can, but it's that chocolate that's just the best chocolate in the world. It's is it Cadbury?
Cadbury,
no.
Yeah. Cadbury.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Forget it. The best.
I can send you some
Oh, will you?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I lived
my
in
goodness.
LA for a year, and I came back and forth a few times, and I just fill my suitcase up with food from England, and then when I came back here, I'd fill my suitcase up with food from America.
That's funny. That's funny. It's the best.
It is. So in 2001, I heard that Michael Jackson was doing a special 30th anniversary 2 concerts, reuniting with the Jackson 5, an incredible once-in-a-lifetime lineup of guest stars: Whitney Houston, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake. It was wild. And you were performing there too. I maxed out a credit card. I was at university and got tickets to go to Madison Square Garden. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I was there. And so I got to see you perform Ben live. It was amazing. How was that experience for you?
Oh my word. Well, first off, when I had just come off the road, this was probably July, roundabout, and I was in bed, and my mother, there's a frantic knock on my door, like not a normal knock, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the heck is this all about? And my mother has the phone in her hand. She's going, white as a ghost. Billy, Michael Jackson is on the phone. And I went, huh? I said, Ma, someone got our phone number. It's a joke. Someone's playing a prank. I went, hello. And the gentleman said, this is Michael Jackson. I went, yep. And I'm the King of England. Literally said those words. And I hung up the phone. My mother's screaming, I think that was him. That's too random. I'm like, Mom, please. The phone rings 5 seconds. Rings again. I pick it up because it's still in my hand. And I go, hello. And this woman said, hello, this is Evie, Michael Jackson's assistant. And I went, I am so sorry. And she's like, this happens all the time. Please, it's not just you. I'm like, but why is he calling me? My management team gave him my number. He wanted to personally ask if I would sing Ben on one of the shows. It was only the Friday. It was a Friday night.
Yeah, that's when I went to.
And a Monday. And so I was only supposed to be on Friday. So I said, of course, I love the song Ben. I mean, I did ABC and Rockin' Robin in my concerts at that point. I mean, who doesn't idolize Michael Jackson? I mean, this is a level above another level. You know what I mean? And so he was amazing. And I said, of course I will. So he sent me the tracks to learn the song. September 8th, I think it was, 9th, something like that. I went and flew in.
I think it was the 7th.
7th, so it was something around there. Yep. And then did the Friday night. And I was standing next to Whitney because she opened the show and I was second. She did the song Want to Be Starting Something with Usher and Maya. And they went up in the air and all that. It was amazing. And then out I go. Sunday morning, we get a phone call from the producer, David Guest, who ended up marrying one of my close friends, Liza Minnelli. He produced a show with Michael, and they said, we've changed plans. We really want Billy to come back and sing on the second night. And we want him on the television special.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we're already booked in LA. He's supposed to sing at the Hollywood Bowl with the LA Philharmonic for a night of movie themes and things. He's already booked. It's a huge thing. We can't dip out. And David Guest said, I will give him the second slot of the show on primetime TV if he makes this. So my whole team were looking at each other like, we can't say no. So we make it work. Monday, September 10th, we drive in. We don't cancel our plane reservations because maybe we can drive immediately after my performance from Manhattan to Logan Airport in Boston and make the flight the next morning. Well, the show ran late. Whitney Houston was late. Marlon Brando spoke for 10 hours. It was a whole debacle, right? We couldn't make it out in time. It was too late in the day, and we couldn't make it. Go to bed Monday morning, Monday night, Tuesday morning, we wake up and it was September 11th.
Yep.
And I can honestly say if David Guest and Michael Jackson did not literally beg for me to come back and do the show, I would have been on that flight that hit the towers.
Seriously?
On flight 11. Mm-hmm.
That's when you were booked on?
The 9 a.m.
Mm.
flight out of Logan to Los Angeles to make it for that Hollywood Bowl performance. So it's just that show is more than it's way more than a show to me. And I talked to Michael so many times after that. We were my family and I were invited to Neverland for Christmas. I never thought to thank him for literally saving my life. It wouldn't come up into conversation. It just wouldn't. And I was young, but he was always such a gentleman. And I really feel bad of what happened to him because I never was around anything but professional and a humanitarian. And it's unfortunate what people see when they see dollar signs. And I firmly believe that was the issue, but he was just a great person. That era of my life was such an amazing time.
Absolutely. And I can't think about that concert without thinking about 9/11. So the day before the concert, I went to the top of the World Trade Center. So the concert was on the Friday. I went to the top of the World Trade Center on the Thursday, on the 6th of September 2001. And then I flew out of New York to return to England on Sunday night, got back Monday, was basically asleep, woke up and saw that on the news.
It was crazy.
It.
I know. It was nuts. And to get out of the city, because obviously we were still there. We didn't go to Boston. To get out of the city was, I've never seen. It looked like a movie. It looked like what's that movie with? I can only think of one movie right at the moment with Tom Cruise. It was one of the newer War of the Worlds, and people are just fleeing. That's what it was like a movie. It was. I mean, we had to get over to the Queen's Bridge to get to where we needed to be at the moment, and we saw Tony Bennett running with his daughter. I mean, it was just. I went, Angela, my vocal coach, the one that's always with me. I'm like, isn't that Tony Bennett? Because we had been around him because of Liza. It was just insane. People did not know what to do. They just did not know what to do. But crazy time.
It really was. And is it true that at that concert, Britney Spears invited you to her concert as well?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How do you know that? That's pretty cool.
I do my research.
Wow. That's a tidbit I don't talk about a lot. Yeah. She was in the dressing room 2 down from me, and she heard me warming up and came over and said, I just love your little song, One Voice. She was so cute. And at that time, her father was normal because he was around there too. And she said, where do you live? And I'm like, well, I kind of, Rhode Island, but I'm really all over right now. She's like, well, if you want to come to my Boston show and you're home, you come to my Boston show. And off we came. And she was such a kind soul even then, because she was young then too, 20 years ago. It was when she was really starting to grow up. And the show started, I guess, kind of provocatively, as what I'm remembering. And I guess there was a waterfall scene. I mean, I'm sure it's PG compared to what today's stuff is on. But she made my team make me stand behind stage for the first 10 minutes so I wouldn't see the opening out of respect for being young. I thought that was, looking back, that was so sweet. But back then, I'm like, why? I don't care. But she was just very, very sweet, a very sweet individual.
That's great to hear. And so going back to 9/11, soon after that, Michael Jackson released a charity single, What More Can I Give? And you were a part of that song too, with Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, Beyoncé, Boyz II Men, Shakira, and so many other stars. When were you sort of contacted about that? How did you get involved with it?
He just called. I mean, at that point, we were in conversation quite a bit.
Sure.
So he just said, I would love for you to sing a line in this. And I'm like, of course I will. So they flew me out to Henson Studios in Los Angeles. Coincidentally, it was so strange. So it was Jim Henson's recording studio where he did the Muppets. And that's where Michael recorded this song. Fast forward 20 years later, longer than that. No, a little less than that. 1980, when I was on The Voice, that's where they record all their songs. All the stuff that you recorded on The Voice is at Henson Studios. So all of a sudden, I didn't know where we were going because you're driven everywhere when you're on The Voice for safety reasons, and they know where you are from A to B.
Yeah, of course.
They're pulling up to the gates, and I go, "This is the recording studio," and they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "This is where I recorded with Michael Jackson." That was so cool. Everyone had their own time, so I didn't really see anyone else. Everyone had their own slots, but yeah, it was pretty cool. I don't know if the Spanish version was ever released, but we did an English version and a Spanish version. I can still todos unidos de corazón que la unión nos salvará. Like I can still remember because I wasn't really fluent in it, so it was hard. I was nervous.
Yeah.
But yeah, we recorded 2 versions, and then we got to do it live at RFK Stadium. And Mariah showed up. A bunch of the original people that were on the record showed up, but he filled it in with people that weren't on the record that, had to fill in for the other people that couldn't make it. But yeah, it was a great experience. I'll tell you, it was amazing.
Because I saw that live performance too, and the stage was definitely full with stars. Imagine just trying to schedule all those people to be there at that one time.
Oh my gosh. Did they show the whole show? Was it the daytime too, or was it just the night?
I don't know. I've seen it just on YouTube before.
Yeah. So it was an all day, like, country, I call it country fest for country music fans, but it's like a Hyde Park thing. Like they'll have entertainers all day long. And that's what they did. I mean, it was Aerosmith. It was Bette Midler went on before me. And then I came on and did 2 songs. And NSYNC came on and the Backstreet Boys. It was just this constant music day. And then we ended with Michael doing his set. And then the finale was the What More Can I Give song. It was quite I have pictures of Aerosmith and Pink and I were just, it was just crazy. There's levels of success. And then you hit another weird level and it's like, you can't even comprehend.
You keep somehow surpassing them, which is incredible.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No, not at all.
So your third studio album, Music Through Heartsongs, songs based on the poems of J.T. Stepanek. So Mattie sadly passed away age 13. Can you tell me how that album came about? Did you discover the poems, or how were they translated into an album?
So Sony, it was, we were getting ready. They wanted another record. So of course, when you do that, you sit in an office emailing MP3 songs wasn't, funny enough, wasn't really a huge thing like it is now. Like you MP3 a song to your phone and we would sit in offices and we'd listen to records, CDs of pitched songs that I might want to sing. Like songwriters would send you their songs and you just listen. And one would hit you. Oh, I want to do that one. I like that one. That one makes sense for my style and my path and my messaging. And so we were starting to listen to songs and I'm like, something's telling me I want to do something more than just a composition or a compiled amount of songs one after the other. And as we were trying to come up with, the path of a third record, I was asked to be on Larry King, just as a side note. So I did the show. And if you're really famous, Larry will give you the whole hour. Well, I only got a half hour. So I usually don't watch interviews of myself ever.
You should watch this one though.
I will, promise. I'll just cover my ears. But I didn't really realize Larry had this knack of, if there were 2 segments, they were very much similar. Like they had maybe the same age, or if it was the same style of music, he'd have Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. or whatever. I was curious at what the second half was going to be. So I was at home and my family and I turned on CNN and we watched it. Well, the second half was Mattie. And Larry thought that his messages and my messages were very in sync, one voice, and then his poems. He had just landed the New York Times #1 on that list for his poetry. And it was all about the world, seeing it through a child's eyes, just like one voice, the message of it was then. And when he started to recite these poems, I look over at my parents, my grown father, and he's crying. I'm like, this is remarkable. So I immediately dialed my manager, Scott, and I'm like, Scott, I think I found our idea for the next record. I said, I want to put, are you watching? He goes, no. I go, turn on Larry King right now. And he started to hear this kid reciting these poems. And I said, I'm telling you, these poems not only should be read, but they should be heard. They're songs. They're their actual songs. We need to do this. And they're like, Sony's not going to fly for that. I'm like, yes, they will. So I get every book and meeting with Alan Butler at the time, the head of Sony. I went, Alan, I'm going to read you some of these poems. This is a legacy record. This not only is, we'll go in a time and place where I recorded a concept album that really hasn't been done before, but it will catapult him into another level that he deserves. music and poetry never die. Why not make them both the same? It's bigger than all of us, this mission. And he said no. And I just dug my heels in and I said, listen, this kid needs this. And for whatever reason, they bucked and they honored me, and we got the green light and we went into the recording studio and just had the best songwriters in Nashville come up with melodies, because the one rule that Mattie and his team said was you cannot change the words. Like, you cannot manipulate them to make a song. It has to be exactly what he wrote. So that's tough. That's really tough. But they were, that's why Nashville has genius songwriters. And I was so proud. I'm forever proud of that record, because it's just bigger than, like I said, song 1, song 2, song 3, song 5. It's a story, it's a mission, it's a moment. I love that record.
Yeah, it's really special. And then you went on to release 2 albums with Image Entertainment. Looking back at all those albums, can you tell me what your favorite songs are to perform live on stage?
I have to say, I talk about this in my show, actually, so it's very easy for me to say, because I say it all the time. But all of them. I enjoy singing my younger songs now. People can't get over that I still sing them like I do. I mean, they're in a different key, but it still resonates the same in whatever way. And so like Oklahoma and One Voice and There's a Hero and like those younger songs. But I love singing, of course, the newer stuff, because now I write a lot, and the singles that will be forthcoming of my career will be written by me. So I love to introduce them to the fans. And so far, so good. They really respond to them. But I really enjoy singing the songs from the last record I did, which is a number of years ago, because then the digital age happened and you can release one record after the other. It doesn't have to be a whole CD now. I love singing songs from the Billy Gilman record. Gonna Find Love. And, I love those songs. That was a fun record to make. I enjoyed it. Even though I was going through the throes of the voice change, which took a very, very long time for me. It was very scary. I enjoyed making that record because the material was so fun and great.
Did you find when your voice was changing that you almost had to relearn how to sing, if that makes sense, with your new instrument?
Absolutely. And it was rough. It took years for my voice to solidly come back.
Yeah.
I would sing and I would be in my 20s, like early 20s, and it still would feel that way, and it would just get hoarse. And it took I don't know if it's because I used so much of my vocal cords. I don't know why it took so long. But it was very, very scary. And then when it finally really came back where I knew it was different, like I just wasn't having a good day. It felt different. I went back into vocal training because you're singing lower. You're not singing as high. You got to be careful of what notes not to hit that you used to. Yeah, it was a whole retrain for a long time, a good year and a half.
Wow. And so you've always been a massive supporter of charities and important causes around the world. And you released a charity single, The Choice, for the charity Souls for Souls, which was incredible as well and really important. And so the idea was to give shoes to people around the world that didn't have them, or they're walking barefoot and all that kind of thing. And loads of artists came on for that as well, didn't they? There was Leanne Rimes, Kenny Rogers, Reba McEntire, Keith Urban as well. And it's really special.
My buddies.
I know, right?
Love them.
Do you still sing songs like that? I suppose if there's collaborations with lots of people, is that something you would still incorporate into your show, with having other singers just pre-recorded, obviously, or would you just sing the entire thing perhaps?
That's a great idea. I do sing The Choice periodically. I throw it in my show because I love the song, and I think it makes, we all are one. I think we need to hear that kind of message right now in the world, because it's so divisive. And with Ukraine, and I just watch the news and my gut just breaks. I'm gutted every time I watch the television, because I don't sing songs about driving in a pickup truck. I can, and I probably will, but I sing about one voice and we all are one. And, I try to find songs that help. And so I'm naturally affected anyway, because my mission is to unite. And when I see this stuff going on, I'm like, the music transcends politics. It transcends differences. And I just, I try to find songs, and whether I'm selling millions or I'm selling 10 copies, I still want to keep that formula. And so I do sing The Choice alone. I never really actually thought about interjecting their voices. That would actually be kind of cool. So I've never thought of that. That was a good question. No, but I do it alone. I do the whole song by myself. periodically in some concerts.
Amazing. I mean, you could try and get everybody on FaceTime or something and just hold them up to the microphone.
Are you busy?
Yeah. I'll fill in for anyone that can't do it. I can't sing. I can't do most notes, but apart from that, I'm there. I'm your backup.
I love it.
So you came out publicly in 2014. How much of a weight was that off your shoulders? I know it was so great that you got so much love and support straight away.
It was, and I'm as extroverted as you're seeing. I'm a very private person. Like people begged me to belong to Twitter. I'm like, why do they care if I'm eating a ham sandwich? Like I am on the toilet. Like I don't get it, right? I get it now because it's just the way the world works, and you need to be face to face with your fans, and I enjoy it. I've gotten to enjoy it now, but before I was very private. So I didn't really think that it mattered whom I was outside of you buy my record, you pay the ticket, you enjoy the show, I try to inspire you, and you leave. But people do care. So around the time of me saying, okay, enough is enough, I need to release this part of my life to the audience, they deserve to know. A very well-known magazine wanted to buy the story, and I'm like, nope, I don't want to do it that way, even though it's great. I don't want it to seem like it's like a plot to be seen again. You know, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
So I came up with, doing it on YouTube and doing a video. And if it were to go viral, then that's because people are finding it interesting and it's genuine. And it certainly went viral. And I'm grateful because, again, it became a message, not just a personal statement, because I had received the amount of messages I received from the youth in middle America, the US, that are very religious or whatever it might be, saying, my father threw me out. We had a massive fight. I live under the overpass on our local highway. I don't know where to go, but you've given me a voice. I don't feel alone. It just became this huge thing, and just because I'm saying who I am, not anything else, and going back to charity work, I've raised millions of dollars for the Muscular Dystrophy Association, and I've done so much for GLAAD and the Human Rights Campaign and the Trevor Project, and just try to be there for people that do not have a voice, do not, I'm happy that my personal life also became of service. I didn't expect that.
I want to talk about The Voice now. You auditioned for season 11. What inspired you to do that in the first place, to think I'm going to go and audition for that show? Because there's a bunch of shows, especially in America as well. We have a load in the UK as well. What attracted you to that one in particular?
Nothing. I was totally pushed. But I'm happy I did it. It's almost like one voice. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. So I was living in Nashville songwriting and coming to grips with who I was as an individual before coming out. I came out, moved back to my hometown because I knew that Nashville wasn't there yet as far as their acceptance. Much better now. Still a long way to go, but it's getting much better, which is all we can ask for. The Voice called 2 years in a row, and I said, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do a reality show. It's just not me. I'm too anxious. I'm too type A. I will be dead at the middle of the show. I won't make it. Like, I'm just too nervous. They called again, and I'm like, okay, well, so for instance, I was supposed to be on in the movie Cheaper by the Dozen with Bonnie Hunt and Steve Martin.
Yeah.
The big hit years ago. And I said no. My team said no, certain things. That's a regret because that was a hit, right? This just kept coming up. And I said, you know what? Every opportunity I've said no to, I've usually regretted. So let me have some meetings with people in my life. Let me not just jump in, but let me see what the thought process is. If I go to my ex-manager who worked with me for 15 years and I go, Scott, I want to be on The Voice. What do you think? Everybody from that to my mom individually would say, what have you got to lose? Try it. Why not? So I did. And I'm, again, glad I was dead wrong because America voted me right up until the end.
Yeah.
I'm extremely grateful. What a ride and what a resurgence for me. And it brought a whole new touring life. It's just catapulted so many new things. And even with COVID, it helped so much. So it was a wonderful experience. I can't say anything negative about it. I really can't.
Yeah, because in your first audition, you sang Adele's When We Were Young, and of course, all four judges turned around for you. How did you feel in that moment? Were you, because you're a phenomenal singer, but
They don't.
I know, right?
You know?
It's such an interesting thing because the best singer in the world still has to essentially do a blind audition with none of your baggage, none of your history, none of your fame or anything. It's literally just your voice, and they turned around still.
And they don't
Amazing.
know. I was told. I said I met with the executive producer, the producer Mark Brennan,
Yeah.
and I said, you have to. No one's and come to find out, my wrangler Valerie, she's like, no one's ever had a meeting with Mark. I'm like, I need one question answered. I said, you have to tell me, do they know that it's me? With a note, this is a former singer, turn if you really think you can. They know nothing. So that gave me a sense of validity. It's equal. It's all equal. And I was a nervous wreck. I was like, please shoot me from the waist up because my legs will be shaking. It's just, I didn't know. Because essentially, like Streisand says in the Sondheim song, everything you do, you still audition, putting it together. So, everyone still auditions no matter what level. And
so you went for Team Adam. Did you consider any of the other judges, and what helped you make that final decision?
So what you don't see actually is a lot. So, and I didn't even know it. What you see when you see a profile, say it's Billy Gilman and he's coming and talking about his life, and then he gets up on the stage and sings, and then they turn, and then you pick. It's like a minute and 50 seconds. It's very fast.
Yeah.
I stood there for 50 minutes as they were fighting and talking and deliberating, and like it's a long process, right? So he said something to me that turned my brain, and he said, my second chance was Maroon 5. And I went, that totally just sparks exactly what I'm going through. I knew I wasn't going to pick Blake because I didn't want to go back to my country because, again, the comparable thing that I talked about earlier, I didn't want to be compared yet. I wanted to stream out and show what my voice could do, not formulate it to what was, even though I could do that in my sleep.
Sure.
So that's why I went with Adam. That's why I went with him, because of what he said. And I said, I think he'd be the best fit for me.
Absolutely. And it worked out incredibly. Are you two still in contact?
Yeah, absolutely. Me and him and Miley, actually.
Oh, really?
Miley was another coach on the show at that point. They changed them out quite a bit. So yeah.
Because you opened for her dad.
I did, in Miami, Florida, in 2001. Yep.
That's
so
wild.
Funny. It's crazy.
So you sang Bye Bye Love with Adam Levine and so many other amazing songs. You sang with Kelly Clarkson too. Do you have a favorite performance from your time on The Voice?
I think because we didn't have a song and she came back so late with the edit, I literally learned, no one who doesn't know Hamilton, but the smash Broadway production Hamilton. Kelly did a concept record, or was a part of a concept record, of pop and rock singers doing the Broadway show Hamilton. And she sang It's Quiet Uptown, which I love now. They finally picked the song. I'm learning the song in my headphones 25 minutes before I'm going out on stage to sing with her.
Wow.
I have to learn the harmony. I have to learn the words. I have to learn the melody. So to overcome that and fall in love with the song and get it right in 2 takes, that was my standout song. I enjoyed that the most. And just to stand there and sing with one of the craziest singers ever known is pretty cool too.
Yeah. Because there's only so many times you can listen to a song in 25 minutes.
I know. And it's maxed out and you're just going, okay. Yeah, it was quite crazy. And that was the finale. So literally, I think with 4 days of finale tapings between fittings and then the tapings of the songs and the B-roll and then the duets, because I did a duet with him, Adam and her. I think I maybe got 8 hours of sleep in 4 days. It was crazy.
That's incredible.
But it was a moment that you'll never forget. That's for sure.
It really is. And do you still perform any of those songs from that time during your live performances?
Absolutely. So if anyone comes and sees your show, they'll hear my older stuff one voice. They'll have the new stuff that I've co-wrote. And I also do I Surrender. I do a whole medley of like Man in the Mirror, which was my battle song, the fight song, which was my knockout. Yeah, I honor that time in my life and do a whole little segment of it, and people really love it. So I don't think I'll get rid of it anytime soon. I love it. I'm not bored of it yet, so that's a good sign.
That's so great, and I can't wait to see you live. Well, I've seen you live in 2001, but in this decade would be.
Oh, you got to come now. Yes, yes. So,
I know you need to come back. We'll do another one of these live.
Yeah,
right.
Love it. Absolutely.
So here's a question I ask every guest on the Sarah O'Connell Show. Can you tell me a fun fact about you? Something we may not know, a hobby, a party trick, something like that.
Oh, I'm a really, really good cook. No, not many people know that unless you're close to my circle. Oh, I mean, people know I cook, but I have to say I'm a pretty good cook. And funny enough, this is so funny. I love heritage and I love reading about where you come from and what this means and what that.
Yeah.
I recently found out dealing with, I really wanted to dig into what my last name, where it comes from, what it means. It's a French derivative of William. And my first name is William. So
wow.
I am my own palindrome. I never knew that of all these years. It translates back to an original version of William. So I'm William.
I love that.
Not many people know that because I just found out.
Wow. So we've got an exclusive here today.
Yeah.
So you
Palindrome Gilman.
Well, there's a name for an album right there.
Right. Sounds like a Fiona Apple thing.
Exactly. So you're going on tour in 2022 all over the place. Can you tell us about it? What can people expect? And you're doing meet and greets too, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah. If the venue, like 90% of the venues are honoring it, COVID really messed things up as far as interaction like that, but it's totally getting back to normal in a good way. So yeah, we meet. You can come to I call it the sound check experience. You sit, I sing a song for you. You can ask questions. We take a selfie. It's just like a fun hang time before the show. But the show is really a composite of from literally 2000 to 2022. New songs that I'll cover. This, I don't do many cover songs that I used to do because now the cover songs are from The Voice, A Man in the Mirror, and When We Were Young, and I do Don't Stop Believing, because you got to do that song in your show. I feel everyone has to do that in their show, I think. But it's a fun show. You come in, you hear some inspiring messages, and you get up and dance a little bit as well. So it's a fun show. It really is. You won't leave disappointed, I swear, because I've had husbands, with their wives, and the wives are like, and the husbands are like, get me another beer. And they leave rocking, and they're like, we had no idea. So it's fun. It's a fun show.
That's so great. And there's beer available as well, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. I'm not performing in a venue that's, not going to honor that.
And can you tell me what you are working on next? Can we get some new music? Are you thinking maybe about a new album?
Oh, definitely new music. I've just been in writing sessions all week. We came up with a beautiful, I call it the country Adele song. It's called How Does It Work Like That? It's beautiful. So definitely new music down the pipeline. We just did a PBS special with the American Symphony in Washington, D.C. So that little television special will be airing. Just new music and some new opportunities come. Now that the world's going back to normal, there's been some great opportunities that have been knocking, and I'm entertaining the thought of doing them. So TV. Definitely all the entertainment stuff that makes that falls under the umbrella. I'm investigating, and it's fun. It really is. So stay tuned.
That's amazing. And I can't wait to hear your new music. And I still love listening to all your old stuff as well. And everyone should just check you out streaming and buy all your albums. Highly recommended.
Oh, thank you.
My final question is, have you got any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell Show and your fans all around the world?
I do. I really do. And that's an easy answer. Love one another. This world is so chaotic right now, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. But the one thing that we can do, and I firmly believe this, and I say this as much as I possibly can, there's so many people that go on platforms and try to spew their spirit and their peace and their, opinion. But I think if we individually change ourselves and learn tolerance and learn love, that's how the world changes. So be kind, set forth kind thoughts in your brain. Wake up every morning, no matter if you're in an awful, me included, if you're in a bad mood, or if you're in a constant state of fright, the gas prices, the this, the that, just know there is someone out there that would pray for your worst day, because it could be a lot worse. And just be kind and be there for one another. Hold the door. Say thank you. It goes a long way. I see it all the time. So just be kind.
I completely agree with you. And Billy Gilman, thank you so much for coming on my show today. I'm a massive fan of yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so happy. I'm so crazy. It's crazy that you're talking to me right now and you saw the Michael Jackson show live. I'm still thinking of that in my head. That's crazy.
That's how I first heard of you. So in the months before the concert, I heard that you were part of the lineup. And so I got your album and I loved it. And so I've been listening to your music ever since. So when you came out on stage, I was already a fan.
That was it. Oh, that's awesome. That's crazy. It's been fun. Thank you for having me, and let's do it again.
I absolutely loved you. And thank you so much to everybody watching at home. Be sure to share, subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and leave lots of lovely comments. I'll see you all again soon for another episode of the Sarah O'Connell Show. Bye.
When the world is a manic place and you can't seem to find your space, subscribe to the Sarah O'Connell Show and you'll see her beautiful face. And mine. This has been so much fun. I'm so glad it happened. I hope we do this again.